Welcome back to the Great Sober Sex Forum. My name is NIKAS and I am still an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic actually who likes to shoot meth alcoholically. That's my real story. Okay, so our topic today is growing towards your sexual ideal. We all know where we've been, and that's kind of to hell. And you know, where I was, where I ended up in AA, and I needed to stop. You know, I kept wanting to stop, but I just couldn't. So I finally came into the program, admitted I was powerless, and well, my life was purely unmanageable. But the whole powerless thing for me was really important. You know, it was because my sponsor said to me, he says, you know, because I'm like, no, you don't know who I am. I can move mountains. He's like, yeah, but have you ever said you're never going to do it again? I'm like, well, yeah. He says, and then did you? And I'm like, well, yeah. He says, how many times? I don't know, like 100 plus. He's like, yeah. So for this one thing, apparently you're powerless. You don't have the power to actually be able to keep your word. And I was like, oh. He says, that's all powerless means. That's all it means. So I was like, okay, well, I am powerless. And he said, okay, so the next step is, finding a power greater than yourself that can restore you to sanity. Are you willing to look? And I was like, yeah, I am, because if apparently I need power, then and this thing can be my outside power source. Well, sure, I will look. And then in step 3, I was ready to turn my will and my life, which is unfortunately everything, over to this power and allow it to start telling me what to do. And and the way I talk about it is like it talks to me through intuition. Like you were saying, this is not the right place. It's like intuition tells us in a really short, quick walk away. No, this is not the right place. Give that guy $20. It tells you like really quick, short sound bites of what to do. It doesn't like tell you stories. It doesn't give you reasons why. It just tells you what to do. And so, for me, like, turning my will and my life over just means like I'm willing to listen to my intuition all the time. So that's how I can break that down to like the simplest. So then I had to start doing an inventory, and and we all had to do a sexual inventory as part of our process, right? We fears, resentments, and our sex inventory, and then from that sex inventory, we hopefully build a sexual ideal. And a lot of people I know haven't done haven't made a sexual ideal. And I'm always perplexed. And I try to ask, well, how come? And I try to get, the reasons range from, well, my sponsors didn't require it, to, oh yeah, my sponsor didn't really talk about sex, to, we didn't even know that was part of it, to, I was just lazy and didn't do that. It's like, that could be a total sponsee, like, yeah, I was supposed to, but I didn't. I just went on with my stuff. So, there's all sorts of reasons why people don't do them. But in my understanding, this sexual ideal is super important because it gives you something to grow towards in this one. I mean, if we're actually doing an inventory on sex, apparently sex is kind of an important thing. and apparently there's something to be learned in it. So, the book says that we are not the arbiter of anyone's sex conduct. I'm going to read a little portion from the big book here. It says, we're not the arbiter of anyone else's sex conduct, which I don't know about you, but I hear people being the arbiter of other people's sex conduct all the time when you go to meetings or when you hear, well, my sponsor told me I can't have sex for a year. I'm sorry, that sounds like you're an arbiter. It's like, sex is not something that I can tell anyone else how to do. I can question somebody. I can ask them and find out and listen intuitively to my intuition on what kind of directive to give them. So maybe the directive might be, why don't you lay off sex for a little bit here? How about you do this? But not, you must do that. It's like, that's not, this is a suggestion. So how about you lay off for sex a bit, just see what happens. So we'd hardly be human. We all have sex problems. We'd hardly be human if we didn't. What can we do about them? So the fourth step says, we reviewed our conduct over years past. Where had we been selfish, dishonest, and inconsiderate? Whom had we hurt? Did we unjustifiably arouse jealousy, suspicion, or bitterness? Where were we at fault? What should we have done instead? We got all this down on paper and we looked at it. And that to me, I love that little line right there, and I use that line a lot when I'm explaining this to sponsees, because really that's what we're doing with all of our inventory. We're just getting it down on paper and we're looking at it. So the fourth step is creating this document of, okay, this is what my life actually looks like. Where it says, a business which does no regular inventory usually goes broke. Well, if I can't actually look at the honest stock and trade of my life, my sex life here, but all of my life, and see this is the stuff that happens when I do that, shit goes wrong. So, and it's interesting because like in the fourth step, this particular line, we get it all down on paper, we looked at it, that's all it's being asked. Put it all down on paper and look at it. And then step 5 is get honest with yourself, with God. God already knows, but when you get honest with yourself, and then you talk to God and you say, wow, I see, this is me, I get it. So I'm honest with myself, I'm honest with God, and then I get honest with another human being, another sponsor. It's like I tell somebody, yeah, okay. And then, step 6 is I become entirely ready to have God remove my defects of character. So the things that I'm doing wrong, that's fucking my shit up, I become entirely ready to allow something else to take these things away. So it's not like doing the steps isn't I'm going to fix myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to decide what's good for me and what's bad for me. I'm going to decide. It's like, when I hear people kind of talking like that from the podium and like, this is not good and that is not good and you cannot do this and you cannot and you should be, and I'm like, it's like, that just sounds so not really what AA is all about. AA is I become entirely ready to have God remove the defects of character. And 7, I humbly ask him to remove them. 7 steps prayer says, my Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me. And I know what all of me is because I've just looked at it. And I've been honest with somebody. And I'm talking to you about it. So I'm willing that you should have all of me, the good and the bad. I pray that you now remove from me all the defects of character which stand in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. So I'm asking God to remove the things that don't work for me to be useful to him and to my fellows. And then I'm asking him to give me the strength to actually do the things that he tells me to do through intuition, right? So 10 is 4 through 9 on a regular basis. 11 is sought through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact, my intuition, to improve my intuition and be able to, like, when God tells me to do something, I do it. So that's what 10 for me is all about. 11. And then 12 is having had a spiritual awakening, because all this stuff. Of course I tell this to other people. My God, it'd be silly not to share this with other alcoholics. Normal people do. It's like, this is what this is all about. So that's just a really quickie on the steps. But really getting back to the 4th step, where we get this all down on paper and we just look at it. So I need to see all the things on all the ways that I fuck up my sex life. I fuck up other people's lives because of my sex life. All the things that I do. So in this way, we tried to shape a sane and sound ideal for our future sex life. We subjected each relation to this test. Was it selfish or not? We ask God to mold our ideals and help us live up to them. Anytime you see "we ask God" in the big book, it is a prayer. That is a actual prayer. So we ask God, God, please mold my fucking, my ideals and give me the willingness to live up to them. It's a communication thing that I got going here. We remembered that our sex powers are God-given and therefore good, neither to be used lightly or selfishly, not to be despised or loathed. Whatever our ideal turns out to be, we must be willing to grow towards it. It doesn't say we ought to or we should. It says must. There's like 100 and something musts in the big book, and this is one of them. We must be willing to grow towards it. We must be willing to make amends where we have done harm, provided that we do not bring about still more harm in doing so. In other words, we treat sex as we treat any other problem. In meditation, wait. We treat sex as we treat any problem. In meditation, so I'm supposed to take all my problems to meditation? Yep, apparently so. In meditation, we ask God, that's prayer. So you're saying I got to pray and meditate with my problems? Okay, I follow you. Okay, cool, I'll start. We ask God what we should do about each specific matter. The right answer will come if we want it. And that I love that line, because it's like the right answer will come if you want it, if you're willing to actually follow it. And the right answer comes if you don't want it either. It's just you don't do it. That's the difference. The right answer comes, and I'd rather do this. My will says I want this. I don't want the right answer. I want what I want. Okay. God alone can judge our sex situations. Counsels with persons is often desirable, but we let God be the final judge. We realize that some people are as fanatical about sex as others are loose. I think I fall into loose category. Sorry. No, it's all right. We avoid hysterical thinking or advice. And I can't tell you how much hysterical thinking and advice I hear out there. I mean, that's, when I started the Indulgent Abstainer group, the pushback I got online, like, you're gonna make people relapse. And I'm like, well, wait, hold on. It's my understanding that I can't get anyone sober and I can't get anyone drunk. So, sounds like you're giving hysterical advice. That sounds like hysterical thinking and hysterical advice to me, but oh well, everybody's got their process. So, from our 4-step inventory, we get everything down on paper, right? And we had to look at it. From that and our new relationship with our Creator, we shaped our sane and sound ideal for the future. Hopefully everyone's done that. So where is it that you want to be? Having done a sexual ideal or not, this is the question. This is kind of the question of the seminar today. It's like, what is it that where are you going? What do you want? What is it, what is it that you want and you're not doing yet? What is it, there's the aspects of like, do no harm. But then there's the other aspect of like, but what do I really want? What really turns me on? And I think that's something that we avoid. We try to because we can even slut shame ourselves. It turns out I like getting fisted. Before I was sober, that was when I was high, that was what the fucking freaks did. And then I got sober and I realized fisting's actually something I like, because it feels amazing having your hand inside somebody. And then having like a little twink hand, somebody with a really small hand, I like, having that feeling inside me. It's like, oh my God, this is so and so really I had to kind of realize this is who and what I am, and this is what I like. And so what stands in the way of me actually letting that be my sex life? Is it shame? Is it, and for me, it started out as being, I didn't want to tell people. And now I'm telling people on, you know, fucking at meeting level and on a microphone, and you know, because I've started living life now in the truth. You know, it's so much easier to just be true and honest about life. And so, you know, and I think so that's really the purpose here, like trying to figure out, what do I want? What does my sexual ideal look like? So I thought we'd just do a little exercise with a teeny bit of writing, which I handed you guys those paper. And I know that sounds very McIntyre Housey. For those online, McIntyre House, by the way, is a rehab here in Hollywood where you write your way sober. But hey, it's I gotta say, writing is some way to really kind of get inside past your fucking brain. It kind of sidesteps your normal thinking and allows you to get inside. So we'll do a little bit of writing. So let's just close our eyes for a second, and just kind of check in with our true self. You know, the self that's just not the chatterbox. It's not, you know, the fucking blah, blah, blah. But the trueness that's kind of in our gut, that thing that's way down deep that says yes or no, or I want or I don't want, or stop or go, and just ask that thing, what's my true sexual ideal? What is it that I really want? What am I looking for? Where do I want all this to end up? And then the second part of that natural question would be like, and what's standing in my way? You know, and part of my journey has been realizing that the things that are standing in my way are actually things that I have created. It's like, what am I putting in my own way? So you know, the next place we can actually take this is just turning this into a prayer, right? So just turn it into a we ask God sort of thing. So, God, please show us all what our truest sexual ideal is to be. What it is that really turns us on. What it is that we really, really, really we want in our deepest heart of hearts. Allow us to write a little bit of that, and then also reveal to us, if you will, please, God, what is it that stands in our way? What are we roadblocking ourselves or cock blocking? How are we standing in the way of ourselves getting what it is that we really want? Please, God, let us know. Fill us with intuition. Fill us with right thought, right action, right response, and right ability to write. So let's take a few minutes here, and you got 2 pieces of paper, you got a pen, and just what is it that you really want, and what's standing in your way? So we're going to take a quick little break here, and then we'll start this just right after a few minutes. Okay, and we are back from our little break there, where we all did our writing, and Rick is going to go first. He has volunteered very nicely.
Sure. So what I was going to say, it's funny, you know, I came to the first session, and this was the topic, and so when I wrote mine down, I was actually, I think I raised my hand, okay, I'll read it first. And I actually almost dug it out and brought it with me today.
Yeah.
You know, if it was still
the
same or true or whatever. So, anyway, that being said, I divided this into 2 columns.
All right.
And then we're kind of like that. So I what I want and then what's in the way. So for what I want, I want the freedom to ask for what I want and need. The ability to have sex with a non-stranger, friends, dates, buddies. Intimacy. To have someone look me in the eye and kiss me during sex, whether regardless of who I'm talking about. To treat sex as joyful play and as a means of achieving some form of intimacy. to be touched, and to laugh. And what's in the way? A whole bunch of variations of fear. Fear of self-rejection, fear of rejection from others, fear of being disappointed in that the person I'm sex with doesn't live up to whatever is in my head. Fear of judgment, shame, questioning my worthiness, fear of hurting myself and others. I don't know. Okay. So fear of hurting someone's feelings. My ego, my insecurities, my self-esteem. And then my current living and job situation, which is just not conducive to me having a balanced life. That's a whole other thing.
What was the second one you said there?
Fear of rejection, fear of disappointment.
Fear of disappointment, yeah. Yeah, and then you referenced your
right. Like so, I suspect I'm not the only person who does this.
No, oh no. Right.
But so I will sexualize people when I meet them.
Right.
And then kind of imagine what everything is going to be all about. And then, before I even shake their hand and say hello, we've already been in the bedroom and I'm disappointed with what is about to transpire or whatever. It's just fucked up, right?
Right.
Is that wrong?
I don't think it's wrong to right. I mean, we all have fantasies about other people, I think. But I think that is when we believe that our fantasy has to be true. It's like that's so if I believe that people should all drive right and not cut me off, and I believe that is true, then I'm highly disappointed when they actually do it. I had a truck the other night. I was getting on. I had a very short on ramp, and I was getting on and pulling up speed, and then all of a sudden this truck is like right next to me. And it's a fucking 18-wheeler, and all of a sudden I'm speeding up, and I'm realizing I'm running out of fucking on ramp, and I finally had to like slam my brakes on, and this whole narrative came up about and then I realized he had an entire lane on the other side of him, and so I had this whole narrative about that motherfucker, this whole thing, and I just, but I also had the awareness to just breathe and just go, okay, so what's that story? Is that true? I don't know. Can I verify it? No, I certainly can't. So is it the truth? Nope, it's not. It's just a storyline. It's just, and so somehow in that, it's like, when I back the story up and when I have the awareness to stay that much on top of it, when I see, oh look, there's my mind just doing that again, which it lies to me all the time. It's constantly telling me things that aren't true. The difference is at this point in my life, I no longer have the necessity to believe it. I can have the option to, but if I tap into that option, then I'm going to be pretty disappointed and probably have some road rage and all that sort of stuff. So like you say, when we can fantasize about people, we can fantasize about how they was, but then if they don't live up to our, fantasy thing, then it's like, but that whole thing, it's like I have to somehow have the awareness that, oh yeah, that was just a fantasy. That wasn't really truth, But I don't. I mean, how do you have a good active fantasy imagination, and not.
Well, our minds are storytellers.
Yeah.
And it's a useful tool, because it helps us solve problems. And but it has, another aspect of it, because it just runs all the time. And So actually I wrote this down as you were saying it.
Yeah.
Because the key question, is it the truth?
Yeah.
It's a storyline.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it belongs on final draft, but not in my, in the real world.
Right.
You know, so I think that's like, I've just been really like coming up with that, being, that question a lot lately, because it's helpful.
Yeah.
It helps circumvent traveling down the storyline.
Yeah.
To play it out, to act on it, to do all this stuff. It's like, is it true? Not really. Maybe there's a little bit in there. So what's true about it? Right. Well, this is similar to a situation, but then it gets made up, and then it becomes fantasy. Yeah. So it's like, it's really. Anyway, I think that's a really good question to ask.
Yeah, it was Byron Katie. She has a book called Doing the Work, and that's one of her questions is, can I verify this? Can this be validated? Is this? Am I certain? Would I stake my mother's or my pet's life, whoever the fuck you love? Some of us don't like our mothers. Am I willing to put a loved one's life on the line because I believe something? And the truth of the matter is, most often the answer is no. Duh. That's dumb. I'm not willing to do that. So then why am I willing to continue to believe this narrative and take action or not take action, which is also taking an action? Why am I willing to do that? It's like, and that's what she calls the work. That's doing the work. That's like literally like I have the awareness first, that which is work, and then I actually ask the questions. And then when the questions and the awareness get me to the answer of no, that's just not true, then I have to, okay. And the rest of the work is like letting it go. Yeah. Was there anything on that list that you found to be unexpected?
I won't call it unexpected, but I'm glad, you kind of when you were talking earlier, when I was asking, about you saying yes to people who aren't necessarily in your definition of attractive, and you talked about being kind of joyful and playful, and that's something that that's such a refreshing idea, like such a novel idea for me. So then I just had to put that on here.
Right. How would you describe? Without using the playful, is there other descriptions that you might give that would define the non-playfulness?
So, for lack of being my brain cells fully functioning, to me the opposite of kind of lack of playful and kind of fun is kind of very reminiscent of meth sex.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so while I've certainly not been abstinent in the last 4 years, too much of the sex I have had falls, I'm going to draw a line, kind of falls on the, it's kind of, more like what life was like.
Gotcha.
Using.
Right.
As opposed to concept of fun.
Right.
Really laugh and bad.
Right.
Yeah. And so I guess just the other thing I would say, what I'm trying really, what I wish I could have more success working on. Is that so what I have had in the last 4 years is hookup sex, maybe a sex party here or there. And while it's certainly not the same intensity and mechanics of the using sex, for me it's been very, just incredibly empty.
Gotcha.
And very non-satisfying. And mechanical, there we go, that's the word.
Mechanical, right.
So very mechanical. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Right on. That's great, Jeff. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That being kind of the opposite of playful is mechanical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Just going through. Right. This is what I've done before. This is what I'm doing again. This is what I got to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is Instead of it being some sort of a discovery.
Yeah.
Actually, in my escort profile, I say, if you know what you want, tell me. If you don't know what I want, if you don't know what you want, let's explore. And it's like to actual think of sex as I came up with the word sexploration, because it's just to explore sexually is, I don't know. When my very first profile, as you guys probably remember me saying before, my first profile that I let God write my fingers was, newly sober off of meth, don't know if I'm a top or bottom, looking for kind, compassionate, caring people to hand walk me through this process. Boom, up it went. And so I had all these people who were willing to explore, were willing to just not know what the outcome was going to be, but to just allow the process to evolve in a way that was unexpected, And there was something magical in that. And there's something magical about being able to put that online. And then, because I really feel that God wrote that profile. And so then God had other people, other angels that were able to respond to that because he wrote this. So it's like, it was just the process. I had all these amazing people show up in my life that were just, sure, let's just see. Who knows? Yeah, let's go for it. And they were all willing. So let me share mine next, and then James, you next. So I, prayed obviously, and this is the stuff that came out, and I kind of didn't expect it. What do I want? Number one, a black boyfriend. That was just what I just let my writing write, and that's what it said. And then number two is, I want to be fucked more. And number three is, I want love. I want love in my life. I want a loving relationship to show up, but I want it to be an open relationship, not in the sense of like, I want there to be care. I want there to be love. I want there to just be an okayness with, an honesty and an okayness with, if you feel like doing, something, then yeah, so I wrote that down. And then what I'm looking for, I would like a partner that can meet me both spiritually and physically. It's like, I feel like so much of, the sex work stuff and it's so bathhouse. So much is just physical. It's just physical. And there's no spiritual side to it. And it feels like no. I mean, what I really, really want is somebody who can meet me in both those areas. So that's what I want. I realized. And the next thing is, and forgive me if this just sounds shallow, boyfriend with a thick dick or a guy who does enjoy fisting. I've come to really realize that I like the feeling of my asshole being stretched, just like the limits of it just being stretched. I love that feeling. And so length, I have internal organs and I eat. I'm not looking for but girth, amen, but I realize that, you don't necessarily get what you want always, but sometimes you get, you fall in love with. But so I'm okay. So be willing to stretch me though with your fingers. Then be willing to go there that way. And then so that was what I want. And what stands in the way. And what I realized when I wrote that black boyfriend thing, what I realized was I have something in my head that's like. When I got high, I would always hit up black guys, but when I was sober, I just wouldn't. And something said, I just can't date. Like as I was writing this, I was like, holy fuck, you have a hang up there. Like and really what it is like something about what you think of me by dating a black guy. I really realized that was my hang up, is I'm scared what other people think. Similarly to like dating a really short guy. And now, like if you're short and like a little pocket gay, yay. I just love these little pocket gays. I'm totally okay with that, so I've gotten over whatever that was. There was a time when I wanted somebody that wasn't, substantial, but so what stands in my way is my head, and my fear of what other people think. Wanting to be fucked more. What stands in the way of that? The fear of being perceived as a bottom, like the fear of being called out, like it's like that's and I think I've addressed that in my own personal profiles a little bit more lately, but I do want to say at a public level that is the fear of not getting what it is that I want, because I don't want to be perceived in a certain way. The next is want love. This particular type of love, I can actually add this and the next one together, a partner that could meet me seriously. What stands in the way of this? Maybe lifestyle. Maybe my particular lifestyle. Although my hope is that somebody could meet me there too, and have an understanding that, hey, this is just how this guy is sort of, what Jessica Rabbit, I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way. It's like I feel like I'm not a bad guy, I just happen to be drawn, this is the way this guy is drawn. And so I'm hoping that, I could find somebody that would meet me at that and would say that drawing is okay with me. That's cool. And the other thing I wrote for that was like, maybe I'm looking for, especially for the spirituality stuff, maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. I'm like cruising Grindr and Scruff and BBRT and hoping to find, my spiritual mate. Okay. So it's interesting how when you write, shit comes out, and then the last one was want a boyfriend with a thick dick, or what stands in the way, I guess, is me clearly articulating what I like, and me just articulating to you guys a second ago, like I love the feeling of being stretched somehow. That's something I don't usually tell people, it's like, because I don't know why, but it's just maybe the clear articulation of just saying, hey, this is what I like. This is, which is the truth. And that's the funny thing, is like, why am I afraid of the truth? Because it's actually what is. And if I actually address the truth and ask for what it is that I want, I have a pretty good possibility of getting it. If I don't have, it's by chance then. It's by complete chance. So that's what I found. You guys want comments, or do you have any questions? Or
I have a comment. I admire how you're able to articulate really specific details about what you enjoy sexually. I mean, I think I made one comment in my talk that was like, I never thought I would actually say that out loud, but you do it with such ease, and I really admire that. I think, and that's the way you get to the bottom of things. So, no pun intended.
And I would say that's really just like everything in sobriety is a practice. Being honest to that level and really and being able to is really just it's practicing. It's just practicing doing it and being willing to get it wrong. Being willing to seize up, being willing to get shy and shameful and all that sort of but I'm willing, but I'm going to walk through it anyway. Just willing to okay, that stuff can't happen, it might, but I'm just going to practice what I know to be the truth for me. Thank you. Go for it.
It's kind of all right. I basically kind of put two columns
Cool.
as well, and what I want in one column, what's standing in the way.
Yeah.
So they actually, I'm going to read across.
Go for it.
What I want is a relationship. What's standing in my way is schedule and time. What I want is trust, and what's standing in my way is trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to trust someone.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go out on a limb
mm-hmm.
and be able to do that as well. Consistency. I want a boyfriend relationship or whatever it looks like. I guess I'm not there yet with knowing what it is exactly, but whether it's a buck buddy or a boyfriend or but something consistent. These periods of nothingness, is it's a problem for me. That's not what I want. I want something more consistent. I don't want to be waiting around for 3 months for the next one,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's going to be all there is for the next 3 months. I want to be more consistent, kind of like my workouts.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So someone with similar core values, and I think we both kind of had different ways of saying that too. Even as I was writing this, I didn't like the way it sounded. It sounded like some kind of Republican platform, but similar core values and do they like animals? That's a core value of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like dogs and cats? If you don't, are you allergic to cats? That's a problem.
Right.
The cat.
Yeah.
And then just other things. And I think what's standing in the way of that is honesty for me. I don't trust myself to be fully honest all the time.
Uh-huh.
And I think what I noticed, and you mentioned this, Rick, is that other column is kind of like a fear inventory in a way. These are all things that have to do with fear.
Uh-huh.
I'm afraid to be honest.
I noticed that too.
I'm afraid to put myself out there. Unconditional love. Well, I have to have I have, for someone to love me unconditionally, I actually have to have my own self-acceptance.
Uh-huh.
I think that's pretty much how the universe works.
Uh-huh.
So I have to work on self-acceptance.
Uh-huh.
And also, I want to be able to accept the other person in the relationship. What stands in my way is judgment that I have, and that sometimes runs the storyline. I want effortlessness. I don't want to. I understand that relationships take a certain amount of work, and I get that. It's everything takes work.
Yeah.
But I think that if something is truly meant to be, that there's an effortlessness involved with it. It just things sort of fall into place.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not chasing. I don't want to be chasing something all the time. And so I guess what I perceive to stand in my way of that is just serendipity, God.
Uh-huh.
Does God have a plan for me? Because I'm 55 years old, I'm kind of still waiting, and I don't know if He does or not. So, come on, and I've had a foot injury, which is taking a really long time. It's like 3 weeks now, and it's better today, but 3 weeks, that's too long. I need to go a little faster.
Uh-huh.
So, so you can't make the universe go fast. It's on its own time. So I also wanted to be in love. You know, as I've gotten older, that experience has lessened, and it would nice to have that experience of actually really like kind of falling in love with someone.
Yeah.
What's standing in my way is, do I deserve it? So I want amazing sex. And what's standing in my way is taking chances. So I want amazing sex, but not all of them are going to be, you know, hitting out of the park.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some along the way that are not that great, you know, but I have to take some chances and try it out, you know, and meet different people and see how, you know, how compatible we are and all that. And so I have to kind of get out of my own way and just be willing to take chances and sexual expression uninhibited. You know, am I able to express myself to someone, and this is what I really want you to do, or this is what I'd like to do to you. This is what you want, you know, and so what stands in the way is this old tape, shame, thinking about you know, some guys coming in my mouth. You know, I actually like that. So.
I find the bathhouse is an amazing place to practice what you're just talking about, right? Because it's a new interaction. It's a new. So I have the opportunity at the bathhouse to ask for what I want, to ask, you know, to divulge to somebody what I'm into. You know, it's like it's like a new opportunity, and it's not so bad. It's not like you're on a date, you know, and you know this is going to determine whether or not you're together forever. It's just like, you know, it's like this practice place. Yeah, and I find that the bathhouse is a great place for that.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of what people are there for. So,
yeah, right.
It's not like, you know, in the bedroom, if someone's coming over, you're coming over there, it's either they're in your territory.
Yeah, or you're on theirs, right, yeah.
And it's kind of not neutral.
Right, right, totally.
When you don't know someone.
Right, I get you.
Yeah. So, and then the last thing was just enjoyment, which what gets in my way is self-acceptance. So I've had schedule and time and self-acceptance listed here several times.
Right. So what stands in the way of self-acceptance?
Me.
I like so I mean, let's like, so there's you the way you actually are, and then there's you the way you imagine yourself to be, I guess would be the, or imagine. So what stands in the way of like just letting go of this, just you know,
right.
You're just completely, you know, and I don't think, this is my own experience, I don't think that we say just one time and it never ever comes back in. I think the story pops up all the time. But what I think happens is when we spiritually mature, when we evolve, we are able to meet the story that gets thrown up at us with a thank you, but no thank you. Thank you, but no thank you. You know, it's like I'm able to meet my head story, which tells me stories all the fucking time. You know, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that. But I no longer feel the need to believe those stories anymore. So it seems like to me that the secret is somehow in the not ever being at a place where I will no longer have the story come up, but being comfortable in the place where I'm okay if that story comes up, because I'm just, it's just not.
It's an old tale.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's not really true.
Yeah. So I think in the self-evaluation point of view, when and I don't know where you are, only you know, it is when that story pops up, is that story a believed story and a held on to story?
Yeah. Well, I think that it has been believed, and that it's starting to it's like that old friend of yours that, they keep telling you these things. And, like, really? Yeah, that's not, I don't think that's really true. I've been telling you that for a long time, but I think there's maybe some faulty.
Right. Prove it.
Yeah, it's like, prove it.
Yeah. And I liked what you said about this being like a fear inventory. I noticed that too. It's like, the call on what's standing in my way. I mean, what's standing in the way is me. That's what's standing in the way. I'm standing in my own way.
And I'm also what other people think of me.
Right.
It's I have to let go of that.
Yeah.
Not being worried about what other people think of me.
Right.
It's cliche, but it's so true, right? Like, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first time someone said that to me, I was like, oh, of course it is. And then, I was like,
well, it's one of those things that it has value in the real world. If you're at a job, it might be important to notice what other people think of you.
Right.
It just for survival skills. So it has a survival skill kind of thing built into that. But it's when it runs rampant.
Right.
And
as often it does.
It no longer serves
a
purpose. Outside of like your job or something.
Right.
And even that, I've gone through phases of being totally out there, too much, pulling at that, and then where's that fine line of being really authentic? I'm kind of into like I'm actually more authentic in who I am in the workplace right now, and that's very enjoyable. Yeah. And it's drawing different people now to me. Right. So there's something about it that kind of begins to
there's momentum. Something in trusting that if I'm my authentic self and this job isn't the place for me, I trust that being my true and authentic self, the right place will show up. Like it's just like somehow it's that trusting that if I'm just 100% true, and somehow we don't trust. It's like we just. I remember sometimes someone said. She was talking about, there was a lady, she was talking from the podium, she was talking about the difference between faith, faith. And she says, I got faith all day long, but the reality is, if I don't trust, she says, then my faith is useless. She says, I have faith, but I had very, very little trust. And for me, the big thing was learning how to trust that in which I had faith in. She says, and that's where the magic happened for me in my life. And I was like, that was mind-boggling. I got it. I get it. Well, this is an enjoyable little threesome dialogue here. This is great. You never quite know how this sort of thing's going to come out. So I'm heading out of the country at the end of the year. And so I'm hoping that there'll be people to step up and take over and just kind of something will happen. And if it doesn't, I have to trust that which I have faith in, that's just not supposed to be. So we will be here again next month for sure. And we will continue to look for people who will be taking this over. And I want to thank you guys very much for talking to the depth of deepness, because it's always difficult to be that raw in the real world. So thank you guys very much, and and thank you guys online for listening, and we hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful sexual free life. So we'll close with a serenity prayer. You guys know the 7-step prayer? Actually, by chance? Okay, serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, thanks so much.